to drive to work to pay for this car, buy this car to drive to work.
Welcome to Yellow Brick Road. I am Jordan, and today I'm going to talk about Michael Bloomberg entering the Democratic primary. That's right. Also, just another narrative about the idea of billionaires and versus the working class, and just some thoughts that you'll probably won't hear anywhere else on YouTube, I guess. But first, please consider donating to Devon's Journey to Recovery. The GoFundMe link is in the description box. Click that link, read the story, find out what happened, check out the other donations, then make a donation yourself. Anything, I think it's like a $5 minimum, so if you got $5 laying around or any more than that, that will definitely be accepted at Devon's Journey to Recovery. None of the money goes to us. It goes to charity, one of our subscribers, and his wife. His wife who had medical issues, and we don't want them to be, ransacked by medical debt collectors. That job where you throw your humanity away to uphold the law, uphold righteousness, because someone wrote it on paper whatever years ago. That's how fucking dumb we are. And this might play right into that, so let's get started. Michael Bloomberg is filing to run for president, according to Alex Burns, who I guess works for the New York Times. I'm not going to read the article. I don't need to see details of why he's running or anything like that. Just the idea of him running. Let's go off of that. Is this guy going to bring any ideas that are either better or new? Something like that. Is he going to bring that to the race? And the answer is probably not. He's probably not going to... I doubt anyone passes Bernie in regards to domestic policy. And I'm really sure he's not going to surpass Tulsi Gabbard in the realm of foreign policy. So, what is he here for? I'm seriously asking that. What is he here for? Do we need another centrist type candidate to run for office? Is he building his own profile up? What is this? I mean, if I had to guess, it might be maybe his buddies, his fellow billionaire buddies, are like, okay, we need to move the party more to the corporate angle. We need to push more in that direction. Maybe he has some sort of information that could take down maybe one of the favorites, right? Because they want to make room for Elizabeth Warren. It seems that way. And maybe he'll play a role in that. I don't know. Either way, maybe these guys are looking at themselves as like, okay, who I am, my personality or whatever. My personality is like a stock I own. And I need that stock to rise up in value. So if I just get into one of the debates and I pretend to believe in Bernie's policy, people will look at me and they'll welcome me. They'll welcome me into the next generation of things, right? People will go to Bloomberg News. All these kids that love Bernie so much, maybe they'll be like, Michael Bloomberg's not that bad. He's not a bad guy. And we'll welcome him into the next generation because things seem to be shifting on any side of the political spectrum, right? What do they call those? Conservative ink, right? Or Republican ink? Isn't that what like the Charlie Kirks and the Steven Crowders and the Ben Shapiros are being called? Or they're called just neocons. That seems to be what's happening. And on the other side, they have corporate Democrat, neoliberal. Things seem to be shifting. Now, honestly, the Bloomberg story is like, whatever. For me, it's like, whatever. He's not gonna say anything that important, I don't think. What I do want to look at is the perception of billionaires, because Bloomberg is a billionaire. And I want to see, like, okay, what are some, bigger names in this YouTube sphere? What are the bigger names saying about billionaires? What is their philosophy about them? So here we'll go to Kyle Kulinski of Secular Talk, someone I would consider as one of the better ones, to where he says, billionaires are doing a very good job convincing people there shouldn't be billionaires. Now, I get what he's saying, because I'm going to be real with you, Kyle's of this world and his mind is in this world, meaning he will be good relative to the people around him. Like, at least seemingly. Like, with certain ideas. I think he means well, and he'll try to do good, morally try to do good. But his rhetoric and the policies he supports and what he's, touting as the best thing we could possibly have is going to be relative to the times. So, in this world, when you say, okay, billionaires shouldn't exist, it's like, that makes sense, because there's plenty of people who don't have much or have anything. So I get that sense. I understand that like, okay, there shouldn't be billionaires because there's people who have nothing to eat. Yet there's people who live in, 20-story towers and penthouses and mansions and shit. So I understand that thinking. And I'll just diagnose it the way I see it, which is, okay, Kyle's seems to be a person of the times. He hasn't quite, really stepped on that game board of morality. I think that's where he would struggle, is to explain why he thinks this is good or this is bad, morally, why it's good or bad. I think he would struggle in that area. He'd excel in practicality, as in, well, this helps more people out if you do this thing, and this thing helps all these people, and blah, 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 and this stops bad guys from doing this thing. And it's like, all right, I get that, but what's good and bad? What is that? You're implying it, but you're not telling me what that is, to where it really registers. So now I end up looking at people. So if I'm conditioned by Secular Talk, if that's where I get my news, because something subconsciously just trusts the guy, I'll hear something like this and it'll make complete sense to me, even though it's wrong and I would say even batshit crazy. I would call it very immature and childish when someone says something like this. This is from Humanist Report, which is Mike Figueredo, I think. He says, I'm glad Bill Gates made it clear he'd go MAGA to protect his wealth. We need this nonsensical myth about the existence of good billionaires to die. There are no good billionaires. They're all bad people, and we need to confiscate their wealth. Now, that's easily, with me, Jordan, my mind thinking, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever fucking heard. Seriously. One of the dumbest things ever. Nothing will top the argument for a wall on the southern border. The argument for a wall is like, oh, well, do you have walls on your house? Come on, think about it. Don't you have walls on your house? It's like, that's one of the dumbest fucking arguments I've ever heard in my life. Thank you, Mr. Reagan, for that. But this is fucking dumb, too. They're all bad people, and we need to confiscate their wealth? I want to sit Mike down. I want to ask him, what do you mean by bad? What do you mean by bad people? What do you mean by that? And you will slowly see a fucking, what do you want to call it? Like a ball of yarn just unraveling. And he'll start dribbling like, to where it's like a child. I'm talking to a child. Seriously, that's what would happen. But man of the times doesn't have to ask those questions, doesn't have to answer those questions, can just go by like nothing's happening. He'll get applauded for it, actually. See that? Was it 2.2 thousand retweets, 8.5 thousand likes? and he'll be applauded for saying something like that in these times. That is called moral relativism. That's the action. I don't even think he understands moral relativism. He might live by it without even knowing really what that is. So if I pulled Mike aside and asked him about these terms of bad and good and what do you mean by that, he won't have an answer. And that's why these are the type of guys who just get replaced every so often. Right? Even, I don't want to go there, but these are the guys that you're relatively good compared to the times. Now, what happens if the population, quote unquote, progresses even further? Now they're looking at you like you're the old fart, tyrant, establishment character. It already sort of started with your, where it's like you're talking to like Tulsi fans and you're like, I don't know what your aim is. I guess it's to shield Bernie Sanders, I guess. To shield him from a candidate that people might consider like on the caliber, of people that other people consider to be on the level with Bernie Sanders. You're shielding him from that figure, maybe taking votes away from him or something like that. Maybe that's what you're doing. In which case, what makes you the good guy? The concepts that we innately attract to as like good, we innately read them as good as something like truth or integrity, honesty, things like that. Like, people know to just attract to that. Right? So, you compromising those type of things to make something you consider good to happen is, the word compromise on its own already has a negative connotation to it, right? People are already like, ooh, did you compromise here? People who, sitting on their couches watching the whole show play out, and they're like, oh, Mike's fallen. Humanist report, it's fallen down. He's going to be replaced someday. They're probably not saying that, but I'm saying it. If you compromise, you're going to get replaced. Look at TYT. You compromise, you will be replaced. So, yeah, I had a whole argument with a guy in here. I said, this is the tweet I sent out to Mike. I replied to him. I said, define bad, bet you can't. Define evil, bet you can't. Define good, bet you can't. Do you know if you're a good person? Bet you don't know. Instead of responding to this, ask yourself these questions in private, or in a private space. That's what I replied. Someone replied to me, and once again, they were making the moral relativity argument of, I was talking about, what's the word? Objective morality. And he threw like this Hitler argument at me. Like, Hitler believed he was doing good. Thus, it's like, it's all relative, blah, blah, blah. It's like, so I had to lay it out for him, why I disagree with that. I came up with an equation for it, even, of your intention plus your knowledge of the world, your logic and knowledge of the world, meaning how do you understand the external world, equal your moral intelligence. So it's pretty simple. I can plug Hitler into that equation. You can say, once again, here's the equation. Intention plus your knowledge of the world equals your moral intelligence. You can literally plug that into an equation. So let's take a hypothetical version of Hitler, because I don't know. Let's say he means well. Okay, your intention is to mean well. It already puts you in the... that gives you the intention, right? He means to do well. That's his moral That's his moral aim, to do well, to do good for people. So he believed he was doing well for others. And then the other side, plus, what is his understanding of the world? Now, if this is so dumb, if his understanding of the world is so dumb, you can mean whatever you want. It'll still equal a relatively low moral intelligence, right? Because you can say, I mean well, but I don't know if others feel pain like I do. So, I shoot and stab and kill and run people over and all that shit. It's like nothing happens to them. They don't feel it. They just die and go to heaven. No big deal. Oh, okay, your understanding of the world is off, even though your intention may be to do well. Thus, you score pretty low on your moral intelligence. Now, I'll take that equation and I'll add in, okay, something like the highest moral being in the universe, quote unquote. Not saying that exists or anything like that. Just putting it out there, just as a thought experiment or a hypothetical. Okay, they have the mean well intention, right? But their knowledge of the world. Let's say this being knows all events that are happening and that are going to happen and that have happened. That would equal objective morale, like the highest possible level of moral intelligence, which is pure objective morality. I welcome you to use my little equation. Intention plus understanding of the world, or knowledge of the world, equals the moral intelligence. I'm not using numbers, but come on. You can add whatever word you want to call it as the equal, after the equal. You can say, oh, this person's morally dumb, or they're morally intelligent, or they're relatively morally intelligent, or relatively morally stupid. Or here's one where there's no intention at all. But 0 equals 0. Without the intention, then your knowledge of the world means nothing. That means apathy, which means you're probably a psychopath. You probably if you have no intention in any of this shit, then you're probably a robot or a psychopath or something. Just being real. So yeah, always remember, guys, moral questions are about morality. How much money you have does not dictate your morality. It's more than that. You have to do a real diagnosis if you want to make if you want to understand the world better or make the world a better place. You want to increase your knowledge of the world, so you have to look at everything honestly. You can't just say blanket terms like billionaires are bad people. Then you add on, we need to confiscate their wealth. People aren't going to, that's not going to fly with a lot of people. I think it'll balance out. Half will say you're stealing. Another portion will say, yeah, we need to, those are the bad guys. In which case, no one wins. Because the people that are calling you out for saying shit like this are like, they're in the moral right, are they not? Because they understand morality has nothing to do with your fucking bank account. The person does. The person has something to do with morality. Thus you have to analyze the person. But collectivists will be collectivists. Alright, that's it for me. Please subscribe if you like. Comment, agree, disagree. Tell me what you think. Try out my equation. Is it right? Is it wrong? Point out the flaws in it. It helps me out. Donate. Devon's Journey to Recovery. GoFundMe link in the description box. And with all that said, give this video a thumbs down.
Say you wanna get in.